This is Barry Zalma speaking for Claim School Incorporated's blog, Zalma on Insurance. Today we're going to talk about a poor man who found himself sentenced to 212 years in prison for fraud. The fraud being killing his children and attempting to kill his wife. He appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal in United States of America versus Ali Elmezayen et al. United States Court of Appeal, Ninth Circuit, decision January 19, 2023, where Ali Elmezayen appealed the district court's judgment entered upon a jury verdict that found him guilty of 4 counts of mail fraud, 4 counts of wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and 4 counts of money laundering. After conviction by the jury, the district court sentenced Elmezayen to 212 years in prison. He raised 5 issues on appeal, all of which were disposed of by the Ninth Circuit. They were: 1, when it failed to conduct an adequate voir dire regarding prospective jurors' experiences with autism and domestic violence. 2, when it permitted Detective Cortez to provide impermissible opinion testimony concerning witness credibility. 3, when it excluded hearsay testimony Elmezayen intended to elicit from a Dr. Bruno. 4, when it admitted testimony from Sarah Wicks. And 5, when it denied a motion to continue the trial so that Elmezayen could obtain the testimony of his proffered Egyptian witnesses who had been denied visas by the United States. Some of his arguments established error by the trial court, but the Ninth Circuit concluded that the errors were irrelevant in the face of overwhelming other evidence of guilt. The Ninth Circuit reviewed a district court's voir dire for an abuse of discretion. To date, the Ninth Circuit has expressly recognized the strong feelings exception only in matters involving child sexual abuse, narcotics, and the insanity defense. The district court first informed the venre, the potential jurors, of the accusations that Elmezayen had intentionally killed his sons and attempted to kill his wife, Mrs. Diab, and then expressly questioned the venre persons about their experiences with both autism and domestic violence. Because the district court asked broader questions to the venre persons which elicited the information sought by the defense, there was nothing in the record indicating that the judge's failure to honor Elmezayen's request amounted to an abuse of discretion. Elmezayen also argued that the district court should have excluded as improper opinion testimony by Detective Cortez, whose statements that he was looking for the truth and that he assessed whether a suspect was lying by assessing whether the suspect was being evasive, slouching, or rambling. The Ninth Circuit concluded that the district court clearly erred in overruling Elmezayen's objection. Whether the Ninth Circuit analyzed Detective Cortez's testimony through the lens of expert opinion testimony or improper lay witness testimony concerning credibility, the failure to exclude opinion testimony is always reviewed by an appellate court like the Ninth Circuit for an abuse of discretion, as is a district court's admission of lay testimony. Detective Cortez's recitation of his observations of Elmezayen's demeanor, the Detective Cortez then implied evinced Elmezayen's lack of credibility, impermissibly allowed Detective Cortez to substitute his opinion for that of the fact finder, the jury. Viewed either way, Detective Cortez's testimony was clearly inadmissible. the Ninth Circuit concluded that the district court erred in overruling a timely and proper objection. However, the error was harmless because properly admitted evidence elsewhere in the record constituted overwhelming evidence of defendant's guilt. In particular, a police report from the accident stated that Elmeza Yen failed to tell the police the true number of insurance policies he held, and the admitted evidence included eight accidental death policies, including their coverage amounts, which policies covered his children. There is also substantial evidence in the record contradicting Elmeza Yen's description of the accident to the detectives because the properly admitted evidence was highly persuasive and overwhelmingly pointed to guilt. Any error in admitting Detective Cortez's testimony was, therefore, harmless. Elmezayen also challenged the district court's denial of his oral motion to continue the trial so that he could obtain the testimony of 4 proffered Egyptian witnesses. The Ninth Circuit concluded that the denial of a continuance was not an abuse of the court's discretion. Elmezayen was certainly not diligent. The witnesses were Elmezayen's family members. Defense counsel was made aware of them nearly a year earlier when he began representing Elmezayen. Elmezayen had over 3 months to obtain visas from the date the trial was set, and Elmezayen requested the continuance a week after he knew that the visas were denied in the middle of the trial. The delay would have inconvenienced the court and the jury given the request was made after the government had rested, and because the continuance requested was indefinite. It was reasonable to conclude that Elmezayen would be unable to obtain the testimony in a timely fashion. Although the analysis showed that the trial was not free of error, the record contained overwhelming, untainted evidence of Elmezayen's guilt, and thus provides more than a fair assurance that the jury was not substantially swayed by the errors in reaching its verdict. In my opinion, an evil man who killed his children for insurance monies to defraud the insurers was able to cast some doubt on his conviction, only to have the Ninth Circuit conclude that even with errors made by the trial judge, since no judge, no jury, no person is absolutely perfect, the evidence of guilt was overwhelming. He will serve as much of the 212-year sentence that will probably not expire before he does. He also proved with this case that insurance fraud is truly a violent crime that needs to be prosecuted. This video was adapted from my blog, Zelma on Insurance, which is free to anyone who clicks on the URL zelma.com/blog. You can also subscribe to the blog post so that you will be advised of every blog posting, usually 5 a week, sometimes more. You can also subscribe to the videos on YouTube and on rumble.com. And if you found this video or the blog postings to be interesting and useful to you, please tell your colleagues so that they can also subscribe and learn more about insurance, insurance claims, and insurance fraud. And you might also consider subscribing to my Locals community or my Substack publications, where you can, for a very small fee, obtain special information, detailed information on claims and claims handling. Thank you for your attention.